My mother made a rude comment about my significant other's deceased brother, and I don't know how to move forward. Quick context: 2 years ago, my boyfriend's younger brother tragically died in a motor vehicle accident at the age of 11. It was a really difficult time. My boyfriend still hasn't completely gotten over it. He was a very caring older brother, and I know he loved that kid as much as he loves me, which is a lot. His younger brother was in the car with their mom when the accident happened, and she rarely enforced wearing seat belts in the car. My boyfriend doesn't blame his mom for what happened, but I suspect that my mother does. My mother usually has her heart in the right place, but she has a really big mouth. She doesn't really like my boyfriend because she thinks he's not emotionally equipped to be a father, whatever that means, so she can be pretty rude to him. We've had discussions in the past about how she treats him, and I've made it very clear to her that I want to marry this guy, but she still hasn't changed. My boyfriend and I came to visit my parents for the week since my dad is turning 64. This morning, my mother and I got into an argument because she was still trying to baby me. She actually tried to correct the way I was brushing my teeth, even though I'm a fully self-supporting adult. I guess she's bored or something. We all got into the car to go out for brunch when my mom told me my seat belt was fastened too loosely. My boyfriend smirked a little because he had been there when I talked to my mother about her constantly babying me, and she was not happy with his reaction. Whenever she feels belittled, she gets vicious, but she definitely went way too far this time. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something along the lines of, "I care about the well-being of my children." Maybe if your boyfriend's mother's name cared as much as I do, boyfriend's younger brother would still be here. Do you find negligence funny? The car went completely silent after that. My dad immediately wanted no part of the situation, and my boyfriend just sat there in complete shock. I was furious with my mother, but I didn't know what to do. I bluntly told her to get out of the car and go back inside the house. She refused, unsurprisingly, so I took my boyfriend, who hadn't said a single word the entire time, to our own car and drove him to a hotel. I promised him that he wouldn't have to spend the rest of our trip at my parents' house. He hasn't said much since the incident, but I can tell he's extremely upset with my mother. He has always struggled with opening up and sharing his grief, so I'm very worried that what my mother said has re-triggered the depression he experienced immediately after his younger brother's death. Does anyone have any ideas about how I should handle this? I am unbelievably angry with my mother right now, but I don't even know what I can do about it. My dad is trying to stay uninvolved, which makes me angry with him too. My boyfriend has been watching soccer all day, and he doesn't want to talk about what my mom said, so I'm very concerned about him as well. Mini update: I spoke with my dad, and he agreed to pack up our things and bring them to our hotel. My significant other and I will be leaving tonight. I have not spoken with my mother since leaving, and I don't intend to. My significant other is still visibly upset, but I know he's happy that we're going home. Hopefully, I can figure out a way to make this up to him. She has been rude to him in the past, and I should have put my foot down long before this point. Update 1: My mother is unbelievable. I'm not sure if she is a narcissist, but she is most definitely a witch. On Thursday, I called my father and asked him to bring our things to the hotel so we could begin the 3-hour drive back home. When he arrived at the hotel, he apologized profusely to my boyfriend for what my mother had said. They shook hands and agreed to move forward. I think my dad wanted us to stay, but I knew that any interaction with him would inevitably involve my mother as well, and I wasn't going to let that happen for obvious reasons. I ended things on amicable terms with my father because I don't think it's fair to blame him for what my mother said. He is probably enabling her, but he promised me he would talk to her about taking steps toward fixing things. That being said, I'm pretty sure my mother won't change her mind anytime soon. I asked my father privately how my mother was reacting to everything, and he told me that she was very disappointed in me for making the trip all about me and my relationship. Apparently, she doesn't want to speak to me until I apologize to her. Who says something like that and then demands an apology? I'm especially hurt because she did all of this right after I finished telling her how excited I was because I had discovered something that made me believe my boyfriend was planning to propose to me soon. She knows that I love him more than anything else in the world, and she still paid absolutely no attention to his feelings or mine, by extension. She doesn't have to love him, but she should at least care about him simply because he is important to me. Is that really too much to ask for my own mother? On the drive home, I tried to cheer my boyfriend up by asking him about the soccer and tennis matches he had been watching because he enjoys it when I take an interest in his hobbies. Normally, he happily explains everything to me, but this time he barely said anything. So I decided to give him some space. Instead, I replied to a few comments here and spent some time reading articles about narcissism. When we finally got home, he seemed much more at peace with everything that had happened, so I was hoping we could put my mother behind us and move forward. Yeah. My mother demanding an apology wasn't even the most unbelievable part of the night. Our home phone had a voicemail from my boyfriend's father asking us to call him. My mother actually called my boyfriend's parents to question their parenting directly. Oh my God, who does something like that? This is so far beyond anything I ever imagined my mother was capable of. I'm so disgusted by all of this that I don't even want to know exactly what she said to them. My boyfriend's mother won't even get on the phone with us, but his dad told us she's been sobbing nonstop. I feel sick to my stomach over everything, but I don't know what to do. My mom won't answer my calls or reply to my messages because she's still waiting for an apology, and my poor dad is caught in the middle of all of this during his birthday weekend. My boyfriend, someone who has always been calm, patient, and agreeable, is absolutely furious. He told me he wants my mother completely out of his life. I agreed with him. But I'm not sure she'll simply let us cut her out of our lives without trying to hurt us even more. His parents live on the other side of the country, so he feels completely helpless. It's like my mother erased every bit of progress we made through therapy and counseling in a single day simply because she didn't like the way my boyfriend reacted to her ridiculous behavior. Yesterday was pretty uneventful. My boyfriend and I spent most of the day together, just relaxing. Neither of our mothers has spoken to us. For the record, my mother did not raise me to be like this. When I was younger, I was incredibly close to her. Although we drifted apart a little after I graduated from college, I still confided in her frequently. I've always known she had a big mouth, but what she's doing now is simply hateful. She can't claim ignorance. She is deliberately trying to hurt people I care about. I don't know what has happened to her, but that woman is not my mother anymore. And I honestly don't care if I ever speak to her again. Final update, sorry if this update is all over the place. I'm still trying to process everything that has happened. I hope that writing it all out will help. There are some aspects of the past couple of days that I don't want to write about, even anonymously, so please keep in mind that there will be some details missing. After I replied to a few comments on my last post, I read several articles about narcissism and enabling narcissism. It is impossible for me to maintain a healthy relationship with my father without a drastic change in his relationship with my mother. Hopefully, someone here can empathize with the pain that causes me, knowing that you love someone so much, yet forcing yourself to remove that person from your life because you fully understand that continuing the relationship is no longer healthy. I suspect some people will disagree with my decision to go no contact with my father, and I welcome your criticism. Just know that it was not a decision I made lightly. I have always been Daddy's little girl. When I was younger, I used to fantasize that my father and my Prince Charming would become best friends. Knowing that it's very likely my father will not be the one walking me down the aisle breaks my heart. I called him on Saturday while my boyfriend was privately Skyping with his parents. My dad told me he was happy to hear from me. He also explained that my mother had been going through our family photo albums to throw away every picture of me. He saved all of the pictures, but he didn't stop her from throwing them away in the first place. I asked him whether he had repeated anything from our previous phone conversation to my mother. He admitted that he had. I asked if he could promise me that he would stop doing that. He couldn't. I immediately started sobbing. I told him that I couldn't keep him in my life while he continued enabling my mother's behavior. He started crying too and repeatedly begged me to make up with my mom. I explained as clearly as I could why that wasn't possible under the current circumstances. After that, we both sat silently on the phone for what felt like an hour. Eventually, he broke the silence. He told me he was proud of me and that he loved me more than anything else in the world. That only made me cry even harder. I guess my boyfriend heard me crying because he walked into the room, hugged me, and asked who I was talking to. Eventually, he asked if he could speak to my father. After their conversation, my boyfriend asked whether I truly believed I had to cut my father out of my life. I explained that we would never truly be able to move past everything while I remained in contact with someone who continued allowing my mother to hurt people without consequence. My boyfriend accepted my answer. He reminded me that it was my decision to make and that he didn't want me to feel pressured by him to either maintain or end my relationship with my father. I used to call my dad 3 or 4 times a week, so my boyfriend knows just how close we were and how much we love each other. He also knows this wasn't an easy decision for me. Before ending the call, I told my dad that he needed to get my mother professional help. I also told him that he needed to finally stand up to her and make it clear that her current behavior is completely unacceptable. He understood. He promised me that he would do whatever it took to get me back into his life, including divorcing my mother if she continued refusing to get help. However, he said that, for now, he wanted to keep trying to convince her to seek help because he still loves her. I admire and respect my father immensely, even if I don't fully admire or respect the choices he's made this past week. Despite everything my mother has done to me, my boyfriend, my boyfriend's family, and even to him personally, he has remained loyal to her. Enabling her behavior certainly isn't something he should be proud of, but I do admire his devotion to his wife. A lot of people tell me that I'm fiercely loyal to the people I love, and I'm proud that I learned that from him. I sincerely hope he keeps his promise and eventually finds his way back into my life. But I also know I shouldn't count on it. After my phone call, my boyfriend and I had a serious discussion about everything that had happened. I don't know how, especially after he had embraced me only half an hour earlier while I was crying, but I somehow convinced myself that he was going to leave me. I had to fight back tears as he spoke because I truly believed this was going to be our last conversation as a couple. I'm fully aware that I am the only reason he has had to deal with all of this, and to be completely honest, I feel responsible. If I weren't in his life, his family would never have had to go through this awful experience. But instead of breaking up with me, he asked me to tell him how I was feeling about everything and how I needed him to support me. I told my wonderful boyfriend everything. Then I asked him the same question, and he told me everything he was feeling as well. He also suggested that I start seeing his therapist regularly, at least for the time being, and I accepted wholeheartedly. The only positive thing about pain is having your best friend beside you to help you through it. After our conversation, he said he wanted some quiet time to think, but he asked me to stay with him. We sat together for hours without saying a word. He didn't want to cuddle, and for most of that time, he didn't even look at me. He simply wanted me there with him. I tried to think more about everything that had happened, but instead, all I could think about was how much I loved my boyfriend. Eventually, he began talking about his younger brother. We shared familiar stories about him, cherishing each one as though we were hearing it for the first time. Together, we celebrated his brother's beautiful life. It wasn't sad or depressing. It was peaceful. However, I became deeply concerned when he started talking about things he wished he had done differently. Of course, I immediately told him that none of what happened was his fault. But I'm not sure he truly believes that the awful things my mother said aren't true. That worries me a lot. I've already spoken to his therapist about it. His therapist suggested several responses I can use if my boyfriend brings up those thoughts again. Still, I'm curious what Reddit thinks I should say. Maybe I've made mistakes as a girlfriend throughout all of this. If I have, please point them out. I truly am doing my best to be the woman he deserves. Thanks to the suggestions from Reddit, I offered to Skype with my boyfriend's parents to express my grief and offer my support. It went very well. His parents were wonderful, as always, and it breaks my heart knowing that such kind, innocent people have had to endure so much pain in their lives. I told them how deeply my heart aches for them and explained that I had completely cut contact with my own parents. They told me they loved me very much and said they would always be there if I ever needed advice or someone to listen. Who would ever want to hurt people like that? It isn't fair that such wonderful people have to suffer through so much. I wouldn't wish this kind of pain on even the most evil people in the world. I wrote my mother a very long email explaining why I would no longer be speaking to either her or my father. I detailed how deeply her actions had hurt both me and the people I love. I explained how betrayed I felt. I told her she was no longer acting like the mother who raised me to live with kindness and integrity. I begged her to get help. I told her that if she wouldn't do it for herself or for me, then she needed to do it for my father. Surely even someone acting as selfishly as she is would feel some obligation to the one person who has continued standing by her. I admitted that I still loved both her and my father. I admitted that I would always love them unconditionally and that nothing could ever change that. But I also explained that I couldn't continue watching my mother destroy herself, nor could I stand by while she continued hurting the other people I love unconditionally. Maybe admitting that I still loved her gave her more ammunition. Looking back, perhaps telling her that wasn't necessary. But I don't regret saying it. It was the truth, she replied almost immediately. I couldn't stop myself from reading her response, mostly because she had actually replied despite the fact that I hadn't apologized for anything in my email. Foolishly, I hoped she had finally understood. Instead, she told me she was disgusted that I was entertaining my father's suggestion that she receive medical and psychological evaluations. She said that we were the ones who needed to be evaluated. She wrote that I was a fool for abandoning my family for a man I met at a bar. She finished by telling me that I was not the daughter she raised and that she would never forgive me for making my father cry because I selfishly wanted to spend more time with my boyfriend. I cried after reading her email. Not because her words hurt me, I cried because it became painfully obvious that something is truly wrong with her, but she's too hurt, too afraid, or too hateful to allow anyone to help her. I'm grieving the loss of my mother because I'm terrified I may never truly have her back. Things are bad right now, but I'm still optimistic about my future. I know that any plans my boyfriend may have had to propose are probably delayed, at least for now. But I don't believe my mother has succeeded in destroying the future we want to build together. Thank you all so much for your support. I don't think I'll be posting another update, and if I do, it won't be for quite a while. I will, however, continue trying to reply to as many comments as I can. The overwhelming kindness, love, and support I've received from this community has meant more to me than I can possibly express. To all of the parents who shared stories about losing their children with me, my heart truly aches for you. You are incredible people for using your own pain to help comfort someone else. I wish I could give every one of you a hug. I'm sorry this post ended up being so long. Writing everything down has been incredibly therapeutic for me. I also hope I haven't upset too many people by sharing it. It hurt my heart to learn that my post brought back painful memories for members of this community. You have no idea how deeply my heart aches for all of you.